Howdy, Bart here, and welcome. Alright, as a title suggests, we're going to jump right in and start making some objects that are interactive, active and passive. Things like lights, launchers, ceiling fans, whatever. Just start bringing some life to some objects. And get started off, let's do a really simple one. And we'll get started with... let's see here. Props. A lamp. A simple desk lamp. So we'll take a... Well, we need a table to kind of put it on, right? Let's grab a coffee table. Set it in here. And lovely. Now we got a nice little table. So, how are we going to make this work? We can put the lamp on there and it's just not going to do anything. So we need a lamp to get started with, and we can do an easy one to get started with. And we'll go with either of these two right here. But what we're going to have to do first, though, is we'll go ahead and create a new folder for our gadgets. Create a new blueprint, actor, and table, lamp, 1. Good enough. Okay. Go into it, and first thing we're going to need is our lamp. So let's go back to our props and find which one we're going to do. And we'll do the ceiling fan. And actually we can break it up. We're going to use 3 different pieces in it, and we can vary it if we want to. We can do the ceiling light, try to attach it on there, but we've got those 3 pieces we can do later. So let's go back and get our regular lamp here. We'll do lamp 1 for our lamp 1. Add component, and we'll just call this lamp. Okay, compile, save, and now we can go back to our blueprint folder for gadgets, and we can place it on the table. And as you can see, first off, it's sticking through the table itself. So the first thing we're going to have to do is raise it up just a little bit. Not that much. And let's uncheck snapping. Let's bring it down. Doesn't look like it needs much. So let's put it at 2. Let's see what it looks like. Still sticking through a little bit. Not enough contrast on the table and the lamp there. So we'll try it at 3. That's close enough. Okay, so we'll go ahead and compile and save. And the next thing we want is the actual light itself. So let's add a component. And point light. Come on, move. And notice that when we start moving it in here, you just want to figure out, it's going to zero itself when you first place it in. So you have to kind of figure out where you want it to be on how much your shadow is going to cast. So I would say, let's put it in there. This particular light has, we're going to assume, 1 bulb in it. That's going to be good enough. Compile, save. Now if we look in our map, let's take a look at it. When you're doing it inside of a blueprint, you see how it's extending off the ledge of the table there. It's kind of an unusual effect. So let's actually move the light down itself. It's reflecting more off of it. Let's see what happens when we raise it up. And you can see in real time what's happening with your light. You can also adjust the sensitivity of the light, the intensity. Let's bring it down to 2000. The attenuation radius. If you're putting a lot of lights in your scene, you can decrease that. You can also change the source radius and other things there too. But you can also change the light color. I'm going to leave it at white for right now, but I would say probably you'd want it a little bit more towards the yellow side or blue side or whatever to kind of change the overall appearance of it. I mean, whatever you choose, you can use. Draw it. It is your light. So we hit play now. See, there we go. Nice and simple. So if you just want a light that's sitting on a table, it's as simple as that to go ahead and create one. That one was too easy. Now let's go ahead and move on to another one. Let's go ahead and move to the ceiling fan. And for giggles, all I'm going to do is, I don't have a whole lot of just standard materials in here. I'm going to go ahead and place a box in the scene. And I'm just going to do a Z height of 10. Just want to have a place to hang our light from, or a ceiling fan from. So we'll go from there. Beautiful. So again, we'll go back to our gadgets folder, and we're going to create a new blueprint, actor, and call this fan light. Call it ceiling fan, you can call it frog, whatever. You can just call it whatever you want. But we're going to go ahead and go to our props folder, and we're going to need to grab the 3 pieces there. First off, ceiling fan base. Grab that. Base. And then we're going to uncheck that. And they don't have to be attached to each other because they're going to be attached inside of the actual blueprint itself. So we're going to add a component. Call this blades. And I'm going to go ahead and move the base up so that it kind of fits right there in between the blades. And the last piece, the light. If we want to add this light in here, see how it kind of hangs underneath it, and that's fine. But if you don't want to use that one, we can actually come back over here and let's see what happens when we use this one. I like that one. And we just need to move it up just a hair so it's connected. And that's fine. So the light you want to use can be either one. You can use the point light, which is a standard light, or you can use a rectangular light, but that's best used for ray tracing. You could also use a spotlight to where it has a cone radius. But for this one, let's go ahead and just put a point light in, and we're going to move it down. Move it down, thank you. We're actually going to put it just below there, and then we're going to add one more component, which is going to be rotating movement. Now, technically speaking, it's good to go, but if we put it just like it is now inside the scene, attach it to our ceiling, and hit play. Nice, it works, it spins, and I think it looks fine. You can actually see the shadow. I like that aspect of it. So it adds a little life to the scene, but let's add one more little thing to it that will change some of the functionality. Let's get rid of these two, and I'm going to grab the rotating movement. And if you look at your rotating movement, you have rotational rate is 180 is the standard. So let's actually drag off from our rotating movement and set rotating rate. And we're only worried about the Z. Actually, might be another way of doing this too, because this is actually a rotator. I wonder if there's a way that I can actually isolate that. No, we're just going to have to work with that. You got your rotator. And what can we do with a rotator? Well, let's drag that off of here and make rotator. That's going to split it up to where we have our Z, which is what we're looking to work with. That allows us to have a float. So now we can do random float in range. And we're going to set a random speed here. 180 is the current, so let's set it at 80 and 250. So now we have a random rate that it's going to assign to it, and it'll be random. So if you have multiple fans in your scene, they won't all be working at the same speed. So if I grab this one, Control C, Control V, and drag a second one in, and a third one in. Kind of hard to tell, but the one on the left is moving a little bit faster than the one in the middle, and the one in the middle is working a little bit slower than the one on the right. So it'll just, you can set whatever numbers you want inside there, and it'll create a random every time you go in. It's purely random. So you're all working. Now the one on the right's really slow. So I think that's kind of cool. It adds a little bit of flavor to whenever you're setting up like a restaurant or a house or something like that, and you want to add a little extra touch to it. Then I think that's a really good way of doing it. So you can actually, as you're going through a house, not all the fans are going to be at the same speed. You can adjust that rate as much as you want to. You can crank this down to 40 and crank this up to 400. And it's really slow. Really slow. Much faster. So that's awesome. All right, what else can we work with here? The good thing is whenever you're going through a town, you see street lights. You want them to be functional. So you can set up a street light to actually have light radiating from it. You got all kind of different lights inside. This is actually in the Polygon Town pack. I did bring in the Battle Royale pack for the particle effects and the city pack for some other stuff too. Now the outdoor heater, if you wanted to add a light to that would be good, because you can add like a red or an orange glow coming off of it, so it would simulate that it actually is working. Something like this right here, the outdoor light. You could do it, but what I would probably do is, like for this right here, it's easy. You could put it in there, but you have to think about it. If your light is actually inside of the actual object itself, it's going to cast weird shadows. So let's move on to something different here. Satellite dish. Okay, security lights. This one looks like it'll be fun to do. And so let's go to our gadgets folder, and we're going to create another blueprint. Actor motion underscore light. So with a motion light, technically speaking, it won't come on until there's motion in front of it. So let's do that. Go back to our props, and the security light. Right here, and add component. And fixture, we'll put that there. Now, this one, the lights are projecting forward. So let's actually go ahead and add a component and directional light. And we'll call this light 1. No, we don't want a directional light. Sorry. Let's just search for light. Spotlight, that's what I meant to use. Okay, so, and I'm going to go ahead and light 1. Now, it's not in the correct location, so all we got to do is just move it to the right location. Of course, it's not facing the right direction either. We'll fix that here in just a second. So to kind of get it to where it's pointing in the, or starting in the right location, let me use our rotate. So if we're looking at that light, it should be about right there. I'm actually going to push it out a little bit farther to the right. And we can actually change the cone angle. Let's bring it down to 30. What's happening, my brother? So we got light 1. And let's go ahead and grab this, Control C and Control V, and it automatically renamed itself to light 2, which is much awesomeness. And again, rotate it. Since we copied it, it kept the same cone angle. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and place this into the map. Gadgets, motion light. So now when we put it in here, we stamped it onto the wall. Well, we're just trying to set up a little bit of aliveness. Although that would be a cool thing to do, to set up the backlight, you know. So if we go in here and play, can't really see the light itself during daytime. Let's actually get rid of that from there. Isolate it up here. Although it's not really that dark inside this room. I set up that room thinking that it would actually be dark, so I could set some lights in there. Don't know why they're not that bright there. Let's face them a little bit more downward. Even though they should be facing the direction that the fixture is facing. Well, let's see here. Set to visible. I'm actually going to change the light color. Yeah, let's change it to just straight up red. Huh, that's odd. Let's add a regular point light. Not sure why that light's not being visible. Alright, well that one is. With these right here, attenuation radius, outer cone angle, inner cone angle, cast shadows, affects world, not worried about the temperature. Okay, that's weird. You can see the glow there. But the thing is, to make them to where they work more correctly, I'm actually going to get rid of these because they're not actually lighting up. Why? Because Unreal Engine 4. So, for the sake of it, I'm just going to go ahead and put the point light back in. So we can see we have light there. Not sure why they're not illuminating. But the first thing I'm going to do is, on the event graph, drag my point light in, event begin play, set visibility, leave it unchecked so it is false. We're turning off the light. So it was on in the preview, but now we look at it, and I'll actually move it back down here so we can see if it is off there. It'll show up in the preview if you're seeing that it's actually on, but on begin play, it's actually going to be off. What we want to do is set it up to where we have a save in the viewport. We want a box collision. I'm going to move that to in front of the light so that it only activates there. And we're going to go ahead and scale this box up. We'll move it here in just a minute. And you could set that however you want for your radius for it to actually be functional. Going to set mine like this so it'll go through the ground and everything else. We just want it to fill the area. So if you look at it, we can see the visible box. And we want it to actually be big enough to where it actually will go through the ground. So we have no problems whatsoever. So then we get right click on here, add event, on component begin overlap, other actor, we're going to drag off from here, cast to character. So any character, NPC or otherwise, that walks through here is going to affect that security light. And then we're going to drag in point light and set visibility, connect that to here, and check here. So for a security light or a motion light, you only want it to go on whenever somebody passes through it. Okay, but now it's going to stay on forever. So we can add a little bit of functionality to it, and then what we can do here is add event on component end overlap, and we'll do the same thing from other actor, cast to character, and let's put a timer on it. So what we'll do is add a delay, and we'll give it a 3-second delay. And then I'm just going to grab both of these, Control C and Control V, connect you to call, and do that. So now what happens is, as long as we're in it, we're fine. Like oh shit, we turned the light on. We tripped the security light. It's fine. Let's get out of here. So after we leave it, 3 seconds later, the light goes off. Yay, much rejoicing. Go back into it again, works just fine. We leave it, 3 seconds later, it goes off. So we have an active, interactive security motion light. So all you would do is adjust the actual box collision to suit your needs. Yay, much rejoicing. What else can we make active here? Now I did, like I said, I put some other stuff in here just so I could have some particle effects. I don't have any sound effects in here right now, so you'll have to bear with me. Particle effects. I have explosion, water, fire, gunshot, smoke, sparks, and blood. Okay, so let's go with an explosion, and yeah, we could do some smoke if we want to. So let's see what meshes we have that we can trigger off. Now, one of my favorite things is making exploding barrels, setting up a map where you're playing, doing combat and stuff like that. You can actually set your barrels to explode when you shoot them, and then when they explode, they cause damage. And if another player is next to the barrel, they can take damage from the explosion. It's really easy to do. So for now, though, since I don't have any combat in here, I'm just going to set up a collision to it. So we'll do actor exploding barrel. So again, go back in, go to our props, and where did I see you? Right here. Let's grab that. Just go barrel. And delightful. We need a sphere collision, but in this case I'm just going to use a box collision. You can use a sphere or a capsule, or set it up to blow up whenever something's close by. Actually, there were some explosives, I think. That'd be a better, since, barrels don't just explode by getting close to them. Probably overlooking it. I know it wasn't in weapons. I know I overlooked it just then, but yeah, it's got to be in props. And I know I just overlooked it, that's all. Definitely know that there was one in Polygon Heist. The missile stack, pellets. I know I've overlooked it. You know what? Let's just stick with what we're doing instead of trying to get overly complicated right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that box collision. And let's move it up. Let's do it by 5. And I think 5 would be fine. If you want to get close to it, and then it blows up. Again, you could set it up with all kind of different triggers. I'm not going to get overly complicated right now. As much as I love being overly complicated. Gadgets. Let's go ahead and throw our exploding barrel in right here. So we have, as long as we get close to it, it's going to work. Let's go to our event graph. Get rid of this stuff. And what we're going to do here is on component begin overlap. And again, we can use cast to character. So any character that steps in the radius of this bomb or claymore mine or whatever, this explosive is going to trigger this explosion. Okay, as character, we just want it to trigger. So we need to go ahead and get world location. Get world location, because we're going to need a location in just a second here. We're going to also, let's drag down just a little bit. Set visibility. So we're going to make this actually become invisible. So now we come over here and we trigger the explosion and poof. We want now the particle effects to go on and do things. So let's spawn emitter at location. Our location is the barrel. And we want explosion. Now, I'm not sure if they fixed it or not. I believe that explosion was actually bugged. So let's actually take a look at it. Where it just was stuck in a loop. Yeah. See, Senti Studios, love you guys. You got to fix your particle effect. The explosion particle effect plays over and over and over and over again. And that's a problem with the particle effect. So it's a really easy fix. Thanks to Draco. He's the one that pointed out the quick fix to me. Alright, so the fire, smoke, and rubble. You got 3 pieces to it right here. And I believe it was required. You scroll down and emitter loops. Number of times the loop. The number of times to loop the emitter, 0 indicates loop continuously. So just change that 0 to a 1. Hit save. Click on the smoke. Change it to 1. Hit save. If you don't do save each time, it's not going to keep it. Trust me. Been there, done that. Change it again to 1 and hit save. So now, in theory, that should fix that particle effect. Get into the radius. It spawns the emitter. It cycles 1 time, and it are done. Lovely. So, yeah, that's your fix for if you're using the Polygon Battle Royale and using the particle effect for the explosion, and it's looping continuously, that's how you fix it. This is the latest version I got from their store, their latest update. The email went out a couple days ago for the update, but this is the latest version and they still haven't fixed that. So yeah, we've spawned the emitter. It's kind of, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to add in starter content because I can't have no sound. I'm sorry, it bugs me to no end to have no sound in a I'm going to need to quit loading this just for the sound packs. I've got most of the stuff ripped out already. I just need to start going through and separating things like that so I can actually have it. Are you done now? Okay. So, audio, we have explosion cue right there. So I'm going to go ahead and right before I do the emitter, I'm going to go ahead and add the sound in. So we just drag from right here. and play sound at location. We can use the same location value right there, and then we can select explosion Q. Now move you back over. So now when we step into the radius of our exploding barrel, we're almost done with this one. This is a really easy one. Now technically, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm actually able to stand on there. And you see, it's going to keep happening every time I walk in this radius. So we need to get rid of it. So let's do destroy actor self. So it should actually now destroy itself or remove itself from the scene. So let's look. We have 25 actors. We walk over here and 24 actors, and it is gone. I can no longer run into it. I can no longer re-trigger the particle effect, and there we go. Control C, Control V. Put a couple of them in here. You can see they're no longer here. They are gone. Day went, bye-bye. And our security light still works. So, that's awesome. I love the exploding barrels. You can actually set them up to whenever they receive damage. So instead of using the overlapping box, you can do event any damage. And you could just leave it like this, any damage whatsoever, and it'll trigger it. But if you want to set the amount, you can actually give it health, just like you would an NPC or a character. And then if you've received, your shooting does 10 damage, but you want the barrel to not explode with one bullet. So you could set the health at 20. So it'll do a health check, and if it's equal to or less than 0, then it will fire off all this events there instead of on component begin overlap and a box collision. So that's all you would do with that. So pure awesomeness. We got a ceiling fan, we got a security light, we got an exploding barrel. What else can we do? These are little things that when you're putting them into your maps, they're going to add life to your map. If you just go out there and position a map, position stuff on the map, and they don't do anything, that's okay. But in fact, one of the things that I did was inside the Battle Royale pack, there is a perfectly clean version of the yellow car and a dirty version of it, and then there is a destroyed version of it. So what I did was I set a level of damage, and if you damage the car to a certain point, it would change between those. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly, and we'll do it again also on a box collision, and we'll do a progressive with timer. Just, like I said, you could do it with event any damage, so that it actually take damage. So I'm not going to worry about that for right now. I'm just going to show what you can do with cycling through these. So I'm going to grab the car. Not worried about it being functional or anything. Add component. I don't know what the hell that was. Car. So we've got a nice, clean, pretty sedan. And I'm going to add a box collision just to simplify things. And let's scale it 10, 10, 10. I don't care. Just want it big enough to get the point across. Now you can set it up to where I did on one map where you walk by a police car and you hear a little police radio squelching noise. So you can set it up to play sound effects or whatever else. You could set it up to whenever you walk by the back of the car, you can hear the sound of somebody, hey, get me out of here, like someone's stuck in a trunk or whatever, you know. Or if you walk in front of it, you know, really cool sound effects I'm making right here. The sound of an engine revving or whatever, you know. Entirely up to you. So I'm gonna delete all this stuff here. Right click on component, begin overlap. Again, if you only want the player to do it, then cast to the player character. But I'm just going to do cast to character, so any character that walks in front of it is going to trigger it. So what's going to happen here is, let's go ahead and put it in the map. And I'm going to rotate it. As soon as we get close enough to the car, then we want to do something. Let's start off with a reference to the car. Since this is a skeletal mesh, if you look in the vehicles on this particular one here, these two are going to be skeletal meshes. Okay? But at the end here, the blown up version is a static mesh. So it can be a little bit interesting. We're going to have to change from a skeletal mesh to a static mesh. So let's go ahead and get the destroyed version of it. Add component, static mesh, and I'm just going to put it in here for SM underscore car. And this one I'll change the name to SK underscore, so it's skeletal mesh and static mesh. Now you can see the two cars are not in the same direction here, so let's go ahead and rotate this one 90 degrees, compile and save, and we're going to scroll down and not visible. Well, we can leave it visible here, but hidden in game, so that whenever we're looking at our car, we want that one to actually be static mesh to be, we don't want it to be visible. So if we look, we don't see the other one. We just see the whole complete car. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, when we overlap into it, is we are going to set skeletal mesh. Very easy. And we're setting the skeletal mesh of this car to the damaged version. Okay, so now if we come in here, as soon as we get in range, poof, it changes and it stays that same way. No problem. So now let's go ahead and put a delay in. And after 3 seconds, what we need to do now is set visibility to faults on the original car itself. We need to get world location, and we're going to go ahead and play sound at location using that location. Again, we can use explosion cue and spawn emitter at location, and same location, and explosion, and then small delay. 0.2 is fine. We're not going to change that. We can grab our static mesh and set visibility to true. And if we want, we can set a delay of whatever, 10 seconds later. We can just reactor. Or you could tell it to revert back to its original state or whatever you want to do. But we come over here, we're shooting our car, we're shooting our car, we're shooting our car. Poof, it goes to that state, and then boom. And actually, that didn't work. Didn't work the way that I wanted it to. So we kind of want to get rid of the L1, setting our visibility to false, and then the explosion, sound and emitter, and then poof, it reappears. Then a few seconds later, it's going to do that. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's look at. There we go. So now we have our destroyed car, and then after 10 seconds, it'll just go away. And it is no longer on the map. I think that's cool. I mean, if you don't want it to get rid of the car after it's exploded, you can just get rid of that part right there. But without doing that, let's see what happens here. So we go in here and it's triggered the events. But what happens now if I come back over here again is it's not going to stop doing the explosion until it actually deletes itself. So you can keep walking in and out of that and it'll keep blowing up, is what I'm saying. Is if you take this out, and we'll go in here, we'll trigger it, and boom, we get the explosion. We trigger the explosion over and over and over, and we don't want that to happen. So what we can do is, before we do all this other stuff here, we've got our 3-second delay, set our visibility, and right between here, I'm just going to do once. No, you suck so much ass. Do once. The do once is going to, well, do it one time and not let it do it again. So it's not going to be able to trigger all the other events again. So now it explodes. If we go back in here again, we should not be able to trigger that explosion again. So yeah, that's it. Once it's exploded, then it's not going to keep exploding every time we keep shooting it and damaging it, or in this case, running into it. So unlike this right here, we can go back and forth whenever we want to. But once this car is blown up and it's totally destroyed, then yeah, we can't re-trigger it. So that's pretty cool. So we can simulate, okay, we're shooting it, and now it just changes that. We shoot it a little bit more, and then it explodes, and now we're down to that. It would be the same thing as if you're doing a tank or whatever else. That's just the example that I used. You've got some other destroyed vehicles in here. The armored car, motorcycle, boat, dune buggy, the car, the Humvee, C-130, the Russian tank, American tank, and the big truck. So they've only got normal state and exploded state. The reason why I like the car is you can take this, and if you rig that car to where you can drive it, you can actually, to where if you go to a certain thing, like run through mud, you can trigger it to actually then go to that other state. So to go from a clean state to a dirty state. So there's our security light that when we're inside the radius, it stays on, but as soon as we leave, 3 seconds later, there's nobody here, so the light goes out. Exploding barrel. Ceiling fan with light. Exploding car. What else we want to take a look at? What else we want to make effectively work? Look at the props. I've done parachutes before, to where whenever it hits the ground, the parachute goes away. Remember correctly, in the war pack, it has a parachute on the ground, so you can even have that effect too. You got your player parachute. I had that to where when you first start, you're playing, you start parachuting in. As soon as your feet touch the ground, your parachute goes away, and you can never use it again. It's not like it won't come back just because you jump off a building or you hit a key. Once it's gone, it's gone. I've covered many times before, like bandages and pickups, so I'm not really going to cover those right now unless anybody wants to see that specifically. And there's the damn explosives I was looking for. The other example, okay, let's set up, we know it's called C4. Let's set up a new blueprint class, actor, C4. Now, what I've done before is set it up to where you can actually have C4 that you can deploy and it explodes. I'm not going to cover that in this one right now. I'm just going to show how you can make it work. There you go. That's even C4 right there. I'm going to select the mesh, come in here, static mesh, and there we go. C4. And that's our little C4 package. Coolio. Now, all we're going to do with this one is off event begin play, we're going to set a delay. This would be the same thing as if you are placing it somewhere or you're throwing it or whatever else. You deploy it, you deploy it however you want to. I'm not going to cover into that. I'm not going to cover it as pickups and things like that. We're just going to put it in the map, go take a look at it. We're going to put a 5-second delay. We're going to, again, get world location so we know where to spawn our stuff. We will play sound at location. Again, this is all easy stuff here. Plug our location in. Then we're going to spawn emitter at location. The emitter is going to be explosion. We're going to take the C4 itself. We don't even need to worry about that because what we're going to do is immediately after we spawn the explosion, we're going to go ahead and destroy actor. Now again, if you're actually doing this to cause damage, then you can actually go ahead and do, I'm going to put it after destroy actor because there's no damage to do. We do apply damage. You can do radial damage, point damage. Just follow along with them however you need to. Base damage, you can say, okay, I want to do 250 damage. Damaged actor. At this point, you'd want to have a box collision and or something to say, to detect whatever character is inside there, and then you would put that in there to that. Again, we can actually come in here and add a component of a box collision and do this as begin overlap. So instead of on event begin play and delay, we'll set this up same way. And of course we want cast to character. So any character, any NPC, any whatever that crosses into this is going to trigger this event. Now you can take this and you would drag this over to apply damage to the damaged actor. So whoever is inside that radius that triggered that explosion, and I'm going to get rid of the destroy actor here, and I'll put it afterwards. So whoever trips this is going to get 250 damage. You could actually put like C4, and you can create the event instigator and causer and use that data to pull back later on. I'm not worried about it right now. But then we can delay. I don't know why, but sometimes this is very necessary, and you can put it at 0.1. It just has to have some kind of delay there, because sometimes that will fail. Then destroy actor. We want it to actually go away. So compile and save, and let's go back and put it in there. Gadget. And for grins, we're going to go back into our car. We could do it separately and event any damage. And this could damage that. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let's go back into our viewport, go to our box collision, and again, let's increase this. That's good enough. So we come over here, and what's this thing? Boom, we're dead. If our character had health set up and a health bar and that kind of stuff, you'd see their health bar go down to 0, you trigger their death animation and that kind of stuff. But there we go. Same thing with this. You can have it apply damage. When this car blows up, you can set it to apply damage. Things like that. If you guys want to see applying damage and killing things, let me know. This was just to come in here and do setting up interactive objects, making things trigger, making things work. Let's look at the Polygon Town, props. What else we got? Well, we got city stuff too. I already glanced at that one. So let's go to Polygon City. Meshes, props. I've actually done the bowling ball and bowling pins to smaller sizes, because if you look at this, is actually the pivot point's wrong. Huge. I've actually scaled them down and actually made a bowling alley where you actually are spawning the bowling ball at your feet, just in front of your feet, and you've got the bowling ball in your hand. I didn't set an animation to it, but you're holding a bowling ball, and then whenever you actually let go of the bowling ball, it disappears out of your hand and spawns at your feet, and can go down and set up physics on the bowling pin so you can knock them down. Billboard pole, ATM. I've actually set up working ATMs that actually save to your save game. You could set up a fire hydrant, so if you run over the fire hydrant, it breaks and shoots water in the air. There's so many cool different things you can do. Like this guy, you could set up the traffic light. Let's actually bring this one in here. If you look at the traffic light, you can actually set it up to where you can make it look like it actually works. So let's actually do that. Go over gadgets and blueprint class, actor, traffic, light. And of course, like always, I'm going to end up deleting this project after I get done. Let's see here. Do that. Go in here, add component or traffic light. Now, I'm not going to change the location of where it spawns because, hey, it's set up to where that is on the ground, that your ground level. When you place that, you can use the same dimension or location as the location of the pole you're putting it on. If you start building maps with the City Studios assets, you'll start seeing some of the things that are like that, and that's a good thing. So let's go ahead, and we have a green light, amber light, or yellow light, and a red light. So we need 3 lights. Add component, point light. We're going to call this our red light. We're going to change that to 0 and 0, so we have red. And if you want to keep using the same color, just drag it up there. And let's bring that up here. I said that was a point light, right? And what I would probably do is on these cast shadows, I would turn that off. Just as a personal preference, so that it actually is just going to glow red. Looks like we got some light leaking through there. And let's turn the intensity down to 3000. Attenuation radius from 1000, let's do it down to 250. And let's go ahead and set one in the map. Let's see, where's the power pole? Let's throw a light pole in here. So when you throw a light pole into your map, you can right click on this and copy the location. So now whenever I come in here and put my gadget in here, no dumbass, and put it in here, I can now right click on it and paste, and it will put it at the same location as my pole. And you can see it's automatically attached in the correct location. Oh. Let's move it over here so we can actually see it. So when we spawn in, so you got the red light. Probably a little bit much on the intensity, but you know, you can fiddle with it however you want to. If I uncheck visible, hit compile and save, and look at it, the light is off. And that's one thing we want to do. And what I'll do is copy this and paste it, and I'm going to change this to yellow light. And I'm just going to go ahead and move that down. I'm going to make it visible for now so I can see to adjust my color. And let's do 0.75, 0.75, no, 0. Yeah, that looks good. So if we take a look at it now, only the amber light should be on, or yellow light should be on. I think it will turn the intensity down on these two. Got both of them selected, and I'll bring the intensity down to 1000 on both of them. Let's see how bad that is. That's better. Still a little bit bright, but let's go ahead and make our green light. What I'll do is right click on this, or you can just, when you have it selected, Control C, click off of it, Control V, and change this to green light. I'm going to go back to the yellow light, turn off visibility, go back to my green light, and lower it down. Change the color. 0, 1, and 0. That's good enough. Don't care. Compile and save. Take a look. Now we got our green light is on. That looks horrible. I would change the color, change the intensity, do a few other things to it. But I just want to go ahead and set up some functionality so that the light actually is working. And I'm going to turn off visibility of it as well. So right now, as we look at it in game, there's nothing. There's no lights on. So let's add some functionality. Off event begin play. We're going to start off with a delay. And we're going to grab red light. Set visibility to true. We're going to wait. We're just going to do a 3-second rotation on these. So after 3 seconds, it should turn on the red light. There we go. Red light is on. So after 3 more seconds, and I'm going to copy this and paste that. At the end of 3 seconds, what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this and uncheck the first one. Guess my ass. Go back in there. There we go. Excuse me. Connect the red light into here. So now it's going to turn the light off. And then we want the yellow light to come on. And then I'm going to grab all 3 of these, Control C, and then Control V. We want the yellow light to now go off. Green light come on. So let's take a look at that really quickly. So 3 seconds, red light comes on. After 3 seconds, red light goes off, yellow light comes on. 3 seconds later, yellow goes off, green goes on. And now, that looks good. We can loop this. And instead of on begin play, I'm going to break this. Just move event begin play out of the way and do custom and light cycle. So this is a custom event. Connect that to there. And at the end of this, we're going to add, let's see here. Actually, let's copy that. Because we have the 3-second delay in the beginning, what we need to do is figure out the best way to transition back into the red light again. So at the end here, we need to do a 3-second. No, we don't need a delay here. Yeah, we do need a delay there. So we've turned the green light on. After 3 seconds, we need to turn the green light off. So let's actually remove the first delay. So at the very beginning, what we're going to do is event begin play. We're going to turn on the red light. 3 seconds later, we're going to turn off the red light, turn on the yellow light. 3 seconds later, we're going to turn off the yellow light and turn on the green light. 3 seconds later, we're going to turn off the green light and here, since we're telling it to turn the light on, so yeah, that should work to cycle the delay. Uncheck that. So now if we come back over here on our event begin play, we can just run in here and do light cycle. So we can put that custom event in. So red light's on by default. 3 seconds later, we now have the yellow light on, no red light. Now we got green light, then it goes off, and now we need it to cycle. So at the end here, what we have is we are turning off the green light at the end of this cycle here. And what I want to do is grab the end executable pin and bring it all the way back over to here. So it creates an infinite loop. So let's see if that works now. Yellow, green, goes off, the red light comes back on again, and yellow and green. So now, since it is working, it does what we need to do. So when we first start playing, we're going to run this cycle, the light cycle custom event. So we're going to turn on the red light, we're going to wait 3 seconds, and then we're going to turn off the red light, turn on the yellow light. And then after 3 seconds, we're going to turn off the yellow light, turn on the green light. We're going to wait 3 seconds, turn off the green light, and then we're going to loop all the way back to the very beginning again and turn the red light back on and go through the whole cycle again. So now, these durations, another quick thing we can do here is let's create a variable. The first one's going to be called red light duration. We're going to set this as a float. Okay. Compile and save, and we're going to open this up so it's exposed so we can actually see this. Default length is going to be 3 seconds. All right. So now we can grab this, plug this in here, get red light duration of how long the red light's going to be on. Then yellow light duration. Expose it, compile, save, 3, get, plug that in here, and of course we need green light duration. And again, expose it, compile, save, 3, and we'll drop that in here, get, and plug that in there. So now we can actually control this, compile and save. When we click on our traffic light, now we can change the red light duration to 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, whatever. We can set the duration of this. I'm going to change them to 1 just so you can see the difference. We saw how it was working normal with 3 second delay. So it's a fast cycle now. By having it exposed, it lets us click on the actual item and control that variable. So I'm going to put it at 5, 5, and 5. Hit play. And now our light's going to have a 5-second cycle. Yay, and there was much rejoicing. And that's going to run forever. You know, it's just because we walk away from it doesn't mean that it's going to stop working. All right, you guys want to see anything else before I jump out of here and go take a break? Those are just some little things. You could use these same basic functionality for all kinds of stuff. Ceiling fan is great for adding life. We set that up with variable rate speed based on event begin play. So every time you go in there, the fan's going to turn at a different speed. It's got a working light, that kind of stuff. If you want more advanced functionality, like you want a light switch on a wall that controls the ceiling fan separately from the light, can be done. It's not a problem. You have one switch that can turn on the fan, one switch that'll turn on the lights, and essentially whenever you're playing, if you go to a first-person mode where you actually can look directly at it, you mouse over your crosshair over the light switch and press E to engage the light switch, and it'll turn the light on. And click it again, it'll turn it off. You can turn the fan on, fan off. And the only thing you're really doing there is get all actor from class and blah 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 blah. It's easy enough to do. It's harder to explain than it is to actually do it. But at this point with the thing, we're controlling the rotating movement. If you turn the fan on and off, you can actually trigger it to turn on, turn off, whatever. Turn on, and it runs this script right here. Turn off, all you have to do is change your Z axis here from this to actually just change it to 0. It has no speed. It'll stop, it'll turn off. So you can actually control the ceiling fan individually. When it comes to the light portion of it, then essentially just turning off visibility. That's all you have to do. And you can trigger that by having a light switch on a wall. You look at it, you interact with it, and there you go. So if you guys want to see more complicated interactions or more intensive stuff, you gotta let me know. I was actually just thinking about this stuff. I saw somebody else's video, and essentially, let's go ahead and save all, save selected. Their map was really, really, really bland. And yes, I did forget to do the launcher. I've shown this before. I love them. They're amazing. They're cool. They're fun. My favorite thing to do is in the map, and I'll choose this one just to be different. I usually use a sewer caps. This one, you'll be amazed of how stupid simple it is and how much fun it can be. When you're trying to set up a fast-paced combat map where you want, fast-paced fun action, then you gotta have these in here. Seriously. They just add a whole new element of fun. Fountain base, add component. That's good. Beautiful. And let's add another component. Let's do a sphere collision. No, why would you do that? 3, 3, 3. Oh, that's so close. 3.5, 3.5. There, that's beautiful. All right, compile, save, event graph, delete all this stuff here. What are you doing? Right click, add on component, begin overlap. Stupid simple. Drag from other actor, cast to character. So any character that steps on this will be affected by it. And from here, launch character. It is stupid simple. And let's just give it a Z value of 1500, and that's it. Oh no, other actor. Connect that there. And let's drag that into the map. So now we walk over here, and blink. So if you've got small, fast-paced action maps, landing on explosives. And by doing it just simple like this, you can actually control your movement in the air. So you're like, oh yeah, I can spring and jump over here, I can run over here, chase this bad guy over there, and jump over here, then do this, and then, oh, well, let's try it again. There we go. So yeah, the launch pads are absolutely just stupid amounts of fun when you're doing fast-paced action. You're trying to shoot at somebody, and all of a sudden they're up in the air, or you jump up in the air, you're trying to shoot them while you're in the air, and that kind of stuff. Since I said there was going to be launch pads, launchers in here. Yay. Many much more rejoicing. Little things you can do also. Let's see here. Weapons. There is rockets. Yeah, so we got an RPG missile here, or a rocket. Technically speaking, there's multiple ways of doing this. You can create a projectile, and the projectile itself, it's got a gadgets, blueprint class, actor, rocket. Go back over here. Go to our weapons. Add component. Rocket. It's probably not facing the right direction, so we'll address that as needed. Projectile movement. Initial speed. Let's start it off at 500, 500. Let's just get it moving. Not super fast so we can actually see it. Gadget. Let's grab this. We're spawning here. We're going to put this in here. Raise it up. Where did he go? Let's zero it out on the map. Let's go with 0 and 0 on 50. Hit play. For simplicity, with projectile movement, gravity affects it. So projectile gravity scale, set it to 0 so it has no gravity. Compile and save. It's kind of hard to see here. Okay, I think it's going that way, away from us. So let's actually take the projectile. And I kind of figured it'd be facing the wrong direction here. So to verify that it's going in the correct direction, I'm going to put it right here. Yes, it's going really, really slow. It's not affecting collisions or anything else. I just want to get it there so we could see it. Would definitely increase the speed of it. The projectile itself, we want it to have collision. It's set to no collision. We'll go with block all dynamic and see what happens there. And I'm actually going to lower it down. I want it to hit the car. Alright, so it's set to have collisions, but it's not affecting anything. So, let's see here. With that being a projectile, at this point, it's working. Projectile movement, you'd want to add to that as well. Let's look at our particle effects. No. Bullet trail. Nah. We'll add a particle effect to it. Can add smoke. Add component, particle system. Alright, so let's actually move it to the back of it. Yeah, I know it's going straight up, but let's see what happens when we actually go in here and it's moving. It leaves a trail behind it. So let's actually go ahead and increase the speed. There's no need to put rotation in it. So let's do 1500 by 1500. It's going to move a lot faster now. And I'm actually going to take it and there we go. There's a nice smoke trail behind it as it's going, and it's going to keep going forever. So it doesn't go forever. You can always come in here to the event graph and event begin play. Set lifespan. Lifespan is going to be 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, it will kill itself. Go. Or instead of doing that, let's go ahead and run a delay, and let's give that 3 seconds, and then let us get our location. Get world location. And even though it should in theory be out of our range for hearing it, depending on how we set our sound attenuation up for our explosion sound, we can set it up to where we can have a custom attenuation for it so that we can hear it from X thousand units away or whatever else. But we'll see what happens when we do this. Play our spawn emitter at location. Same thing. Plug our location in. Explosion. And delay 0.1. And destroy actor. So now, fire up, and then poof, explode. We didn't hear it because the sound attenuation, it was too far away for us to actually hear it. Now, since the smoke trail is on begin play, and everything is set from event begin play, instead of it being here, what we can actually do is the same basic thing we were doing before with other gadgets. And what I'll do here is create a blueprint, and this is it for me. Actor, rocket, underscore pad. I'm going to close off rocket, and I'm going to go into here, add a component, cube, 0.1 on height. We're going to add a component of a box collision. And we're going to do 2 by 2 by 2. No. Why must you taunt me? 1.5. So now, when we step on this box, it's going to trigger. I'm going to go ahead and add in an arrow. So the arrow is going to give me a direction. Yeah, makes sense, right? So this is giving me a location I can work with as well. So we got 0, 0, 150, even though that's easy enough to remember. Still, just showing you for the principle of. So on component begin overlap, cast to character, want to spawn actor from class, and we want a rocket and the transform. So here we can get our arrow, get world transform. We're going to use that there. Let's see how that's going to work. So as soon as we step on that pad, it's going to pow, blast a rocket out. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually set it up to where you actually have a launcher, something that's there, a physical object that you're triggering it to launch that item from. So let's see if we had anything in here. Shits and grins. We have an RPG launcher here. So what I will do, where is the launcher? It are in here somewhere. I know. Right there. So we come in here, add component, launcher. Let's look at our viewport. So we see our arrows going that way. So we know that we have to rotate this. We have this set at 150. And we're going to have to change that as well because it doesn't line up. So this could be a tank firing a missile or whatever. I'm just going to... Why are you going in 3 axes? Fucking retard thing. 0, 0. Let's see. Well, let me change both of them. Yes. So now, in theory, since there is no rocket in here, there should be a rocket in there. So what we need to do as well is grab the rocket, add component, rocket, and we're going to have to, let's grab launcher, let's grab the location, got the rocket, and paste. Of course, it's wrong. Because an RPG is going to have the rocket shown right here. So what we need to do now is we have it visible. So if we see it, we hit play. We can see we got an RPG launcher right there. We step on it, and it fires. I know this is going to make things complicated, but add a variable, can fire, and we need to get a branch. When we step on it, we need to ask, can we fire? We need this to be true by default. So right here, now that we're actually doing something, we need to set can fire to false. So we've started the event. We cannot fire at all. We need to now take the rocket, set visibility to false, so the rocket will disappear. That is in the launcher. This is the little things you got to take into account here. Poof. So you see, it fired. There's no rocket in there. So we can't fire it anymore. It's already fired its rocket. It's one and done. So let's set up a reset here. So our box, right click, add event on component, end overlap. We need to grab a copy of our rocket and cast to character so that we know we can get it to work. Set visibility to true, so now we can make a rocket visible again. And then can fire, we can set that to true. So while we're standing on the pad, it's going to fire the rocket and poof, gone. Let's go ahead and get world location. We could pull that information from the transform, but not worried about it. And we're going to play sound at location. Now, another thing you could do as well is if you've got the sound of a rocket, you can actually plug that sound in, and you can actually hear the sound of a rocket motor going. We just want to have a sound that we just fired the rocket. So let's see if I made that work or if I killed it. So we got our RPG launcher just kind of hanging out in the air, and poof. Okay, so we don't have our... Why did that shit break? Why did it just suddenly quit working? It was working before, damn it. Well, if you notice what actually happened there was, you see it's working, and the rocket goes, and now it's working. I didn't change anything. So as soon as I step off of it, it reloads the rocket, and then, okay, I see. Once we've done this, it's setting fire back to true again. The rocket is visible. What am I forgetting? See it? It launches, and it's still there. Why did it work that time? Why is it double tapping? Oh, Unreal Engine 4. Why you vex me so? Well, it was working just fine. Let's actually break that line. Visibility is true by default. So when I trigger it, it now fires, it empties the rocket, it's gone, and now whenever I step off of it, it's supposed to now, see, I broke the second one when I step off of it. So if I go back in here and reattach this. All this is when we leave the box, then what's supposed to happen is it is supposed to turn the visibility of the rocket back on again and tell us that we can fire again. And at that point, it should be visible. Okay? So then when we step on the box again, it's supposed to then turn visibility of the rocket off, and then, yeah. It turns off visibility here when we fire. So no matter what, whenever we leave the box, it reloads. So no matter what, when we step on the box, it's going to trigger this. Yeah, so it was just setting up to where, for shits and grins, it would just automatically reload. But I haven't left the box. I'm still on it. But then it just double fired. So when I get into problems like this right here, it's when UE4 needs a delay. It's not consistent. Sometimes it double launches, sometimes it works. It's just random. So what I've found is sometimes you gotta throw a delay in, even if it's in a little tiny amount. It just is freaking out and doesn't know how to act. I didn't leave the box. Why did it reload? I mean, I'm okay with that, but it's not what I told it to do. It's not set up with any kind of collisions or hitting anything and then exploding and that kind of stuff. Just whether you're actually using the weapon or not, I mean, I'm just saying that could have been like a booby trap. Let's see here. Go to viewport, grab rocket, launcher, and arrow. Oh, I love whenever things aren't synced correctly. Yeah, thankfully RPGs are not loaded that quickly, so and they're freaking loud as shit too. Hello. Look at my crotch. I didn't set up first person view on this, but you see we still get the explosion thing going on. I didn't set up any death animations or health or anything like that, but you know, so this was just to cover the basics of getting little things like the traffic light, the ceiling fan, booby traps, security light. As long as I'm standing here, it'll stay on. I leave, 3 seconds later, it cuts off. Those are great whenever you're also setting up a map where you're trying to run around and be sneaky, or you're trying to find where somebody else is going, and then across the street you see a light come on. You know somebody just walked through there. But if you're trying to do an unrealistic, just fun combat game, these frickin' launch pads are stupid amounts of fun. You don't have to use them just like that either. You can actually set it up to where instead of launching straight up and down, you could have it invisible. You don't need anything there. So if you're walking through here, all of a sudden, pow, you get launched sideways. You can set the direction where you wanted to go. Other things like traffic light, where we set up the adjustable defaults for the lights. So you can set the duration for how long it stays red, how long it stays yellow, how long it stays green. We've got them set to 5 right now, but you can 5 for the red, 3 for the yellow, and 14 for the green. You can do whatever you want with the cycle speed. Each light has its own duration length. For the security light, same thing. Click on that. Click on edit. The delay right here. So once we actually leave the radius, over the overlap box, the delay there before it actually turns itself back off again. Again, all you got to do, come in here, off, timer, change that to a float. You can set up to an integer and then convert it to a float, doesn't matter, but plug that in here. Expose it, compost, save. We're going to set it back to 3. Well, that's 4, but set it back to 3. Compile and save. So now, with this light, when I click on it, I now have an off timer here. I can change that to 1 second. So now I come in here, I come over here, trigger that light, leave it, a second later it goes back off. So what if I have multiples? Control C, Control V, so we add a second one in here, and hit play. They're both set to 1, but I can come back in here with this one, leave it at 1, and put this one at 5. So you can change the individual lights to have their own off sequences. You can see. Again, we did the ceiling fan to where it had variable speed. So every time you come in here, it's a random on how fast it's actually going to play. It's really slow this time. You're just kind of recapping some of the things we put in here. Now it's a little bit faster. We got traffic light cycle, security light with adjustable cycles on it. With this guy here, with the launch pad, you can actually, if you want to set it to where you can adjust that, adjust the value of the height. We can create, let's do this, and make vector. We're only concerned with the Z, and of course it's a float. So we'll come back in here and spring force, make that into a float, compost, save, expose it, and set our default to, not 15,000, 1,500. And then grab this, drag it in here, and then plug that into the Z value there. Now, we go in here, we can click on it and see here's our spring force. And we're set to 1,500. And that's pretty cool. Hey, blowing up shit. Come over here, Control C, Control V. Let's bring another one out. And this one, we're going to set it to really small. Yeah, well, let's try this one out. Oop, it's like a little bump. Click on it again. Let's go with 2,500. Whee! And we can jump pretty high. I normally use 1,000. That's usually pretty good overall. But yeah, entirely up to you on what you put it in for your map. 1,000, see, that's pretty stout. I mean, if you tried dropping it down to 500, not really that high. So the difference between 500 and 1,000 is quite a bit. So go step in between, 750. That's actually really nice. That works pretty good. So now when you're setting up those spring pads, you can actually now set them up to where, oh, if I come over here, I'm going to fall off the map, and that's going to suck. And I want this one to have less force than this one over here that's in a different part of the map. You can set them up however you want once you place them there. You got to love that exposed variable system. Let's see. What else do we do? Just did a regular lamp, C4, the fan light, the rocket. I said I can just grab the rocket itself and just throw one into the map. Just so we can watch it. And then watch it explode. You guys want to see anything else? I've shown how to make these explode by shooting them, like the barrels. So this is just a trigger system there. Like this, okay, you walk over it, bang, now you're dead. You set off a booby trap. I've shown how to make in the past for them to cause damage to the player, because essentially your player then has to have a health system in it. This was just a temporary project I put together. You go into your player, give them health, float, compost, save, set it at 100 is your normal health. Again, compile, save. I don't have any death animations or anything else right here. I don't really want to add in a bunch of stuff into a project I'm just going to delete shortly. We'll just do jump loop. So to simulate that our player is dead, we're just going to do the jump loop animation. We'll do event any damage. So when we take damage, we're going to get a reference to our health. And we are going to subtract our float minus float the damage from our health. But then we need to find out, is this number now less than or equal to 0? Branch, connect that. If the answer is yes, then we're going to, let's just play an animation and see if it works this time. Sometimes this works. It used to work easy like this because I'm just trying to save time instead of going in and doing this the correct way. I just want it to do jump loop. That one. Because I didn't delete the other ones. The C4 is going to apply 250 damage. So let's see if this actually works. Probably won't, but, you know. There we go. Let's see, 250 is more than 100. So it killed us. We're dead. Yay. And there was much rejoicing. Of course, you want to, set up a death sequence instead of just doing that only. Was that? You'd want to get a reference to character movement and set movement mode to none, so you can't move. And your character is playing that animation. So I have no control. It's game over. So you actually would do the death animation. And what I usually do is set it to play the death animation. And you can actually take, for a short-term version of it, is whenever I do the animation starter pack, it has a death animation. Let it do the death animation, but I also go back in there and make a new animation from the last frame. I stop it at the very last frame. And I showed this yesterday in a video where the animation, you fast forward all the way to the end, you create new animation from a button up at the very top of the screen. Just show you where that button is. When you're playing an animation, you can pause it. In fact, I'm going to do something really goofy here to show this off. We're going to grab the animation here. We're going to duplicate it. And death underscore anim. We go into this one and edit this one. We're going to hit pause, go all the way to the very end, and I'm going to come over here to create asset, create animation, current pose, and we'll go back over here, dead meat. Doesn't matter, I'm not doing all this completely. So now our dead meat animation, I'm going to grab my, you can actually grab the skeleton tree. You can do whatever you want. You can take the whole character and rotate them. I'm just going to do upper arm, raise it up, upper arm, raise it up. You can do whatever you want with your animation pose here. Ooh, let's actually try moving the hand. Just being goofy right now. Ooh, that's terrible. Got to be careful with the city guys whenever you're rotating them like that. They can overstretch and really kind of screw up the look. So he's just going to throw his hands up in the air. That's all he's going to do here. Key, apply, save. So dead meat. This is his death pose. Can actually grab the root. Rotate 90. I mean, you could keyframe the hell out of it and really get carried away with creating a whole custom animation and everything else. Not gonna. Just make it a death pose. So now again, key, apply. Don't really need to do a key and apply when you've only got one frame. It doesn't really matter all that much. So, new animation to play, dead meat. Save all. Oh, did I forget to compile? Thank you. So there's no animation to it. You're not, okay, now I'm there. I don't think it's going to work well, but could do animation montage. Play montage. Sometimes works, sometimes it just says, you know what, screw you, I'm not going to work. There's only one montage. There are, plenty of good animations. Yeah, see, it didn't like that animation montage. So, not worried about it. We'll just do play animation. Dead meat. We can't move anyway. Compile, save, go back here, delete that, shut up, go away, dead meat, click back on the root, and I'm just going to grab it and shove the root back over here. So that's where you'd actually want to perform an animation, and I would actually put that into the animation blueprint instead of doing it this way. But I showed that last night, doing the death animation and covering some of the infected mode stuff. So how do we get back from this? We can hit the R key and restore ourselves. Let's do keyboard R. First thing we want to do is we want to set our health to 100. We want to go back to our mesh, and this is our pseudo crappy respawn mode. This is going to anim instance. Set anim instance class. And I want my unarmed animation blueprint and character movement. We need to allow that, which will be set movement mode to walking. Don't know if you noticed there, but there's a bunch of different options you can choose from. So if you're walking through somewhere and you want to trigger swimming, there it is. You overlap into your water. You want to go into swimming mode or falling mode or flying mode or custom or nav mesh walking or whatever. You've got different options here. I just want to go back to walking. So if I come over here and oops, I'm dead. Hit R to respawn, and I'm back to good again. If you want to go back to your a certain specific location. Let's say set actor location to 0, 0, and 150. Teleport. So no matter what, now I can cheat and hit R and teleport back to here. Well, thank you, sir. Spasiba. I don't speak Russian, but that's the only word that I remember right now. And da. Oh no, we're dead. Shit. What are we gonna do? Hit R, boom, and we're back to normal again. So, yeah. A little goofy stuff like this, you gotta let me know. Let's make our barrel kill us. Let's go back to our gadgets. So, I'll show you this again with the begin overlap. It's going to affect any character. We're turning the visibility of our barrel off. We're spawning in the explosion sound, the explosion emitter or particle effect, and before we destroy actor, let us apply damage. APPLY, apply damage. You can also do radial damage and fiddle fart around with that, and what you can do is set it up to where if you're standing next to it, it's going to do 100% damage. If you're a little bit farther away, it'll do a little bit less damage. We're going to do 125. We want it to do 100, more than 100 damage, so it's a total kill. The damaged actor, this right here, we need to get that from whoever is triggering this. So, damaged actor. Damage causer, you can set that to self if you need that data to call back later on. So now if we come over here and boom, we're dead. Hit R, respawn. Let's come over here and poof, we're dead. The barrel killed us. So let's go ahead and respawn. We could trigger the car to kill us as well. Same basic principle. Could set up the projectile for our RPG to actually kill us if we wanted to, but let's go into our car. Got our do once, run through there, spawn emitter, set visibility. We're all good to go. Okay, so it plays the sound for the explosion, spawns the emitter, and sets our visibility to there. Let's see if this will still keep with the do once functionality here. And apply damage. Again, we want to grab our overlapping character to our damaged actor. And again, 250. We just want to do a total kill. I'm like, oh no, we're dead. Damn it. Okay, we respawn. Oh, crap. Stepped on the thing. And where do I land? Right next to the frickin' landmine. So let's respawn again. Okay, so it's already done it once. It's already exploded. It can't hurt us again. You can't hurt me, you piece of crap. Oh, you can. So, there we go. We're at 2 hours. I very seldom go over an hour on this. I'm just having fun today. This is a non-scheduled stream. The name like Zombie Win. You probably like the videos from yesterday with the infected mode. What's something else you guys want to see? Show you the basic principles of this one thing here. Let's do blueprint, actor, target. I'll show the basic principles of this one. I don't have shooting set up in here. It'd be easier to go into another project that actually has it. But the targets that are in here, let's see if I can quickly find them. So if you want to set up a shooting range, and I covered this also in my first-person shooter stuff. So target. You can actually set this to simulate physics and mass. Go back to my gadgets. So you can actually, whenever you're shooting, even with a line trace, you can apply radial force and be able to knock over targets and stuff like that. But, and it's a pain in the butt to show and to do, but let's go ahead and show one little thing that's cool. Let's set up a couple things here. Not going to be worried about anything else, and this is going to be the last. This is going to be the last thing I'm going to show. So, we'll grab actually a basic. Actually, no. Let's grab a cylinder, and let's make it 3 high and 0.2. So we have a pole. Okay, and oh, I really love having OCDs. Let's position it on the grid. Control C, Control V. Let's put another one in here, and yeah, that's gonna be okay for now. What I'm gonna do is create another cube here. And let's go ahead and do it 0.1. So I make it thin. So you can set up a reactive target system to where whenever you're shooting it, it will actually move. So it's just floating in the air. And if I come over here and simulate, well, we'll have collisions. It's fine. Simulate physics. Mass. We hit play. What's going to happen is it's just going to fall down. If I walk over and hit it, it's just going to fall over. That's no bueno. So I'm going to come over here, and you can do this with the target. And what I've done is set it up to where it springs back and comes back up to where its normal location was. I'm putting the search right here, cable. So I'm going to use a cable actor, and I want to attach it to here. Position it so it's like right there on it, right there on the edge. And what I want to do here is attach end to. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to select the eyedropper. Picked actor from scene, and I'm going to select this guy. Cable length 100, number of segments 10, end location. I'm going to change that to 0. I don't know why it defaults, but it does. Let's actually I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to attach it to here, to the target itself. So now I can go back to here and attach to, use the eyedropper, select that, and change the end location to 0. Now we kind of need to figure out where we want it to attach on the bottom end. So let's change the Z. I'll change it to 50, which looks kind of good on this. Cable length, let's try 50. Shorten it up a little bit so you can see it just kind of hanging there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Grab a cable actor, select the target that's hanging, drag it over, put it on the edge. The eyedropper, select here. We're going to go 0, 0, and 50. Change the cable length, 50. But what happens now is we do that. Oh, well, that didn't work. It's just kind of hanging there. Name of component property to use. But what's supposed to happen here is it's supposed to stay constrained to the object, even though the object's still going to fall. It's supposed to stay connected, and now it's being an ass. End location, cable force. Well, that part's being a pain in the ass because there's one other thing that you're going to have to use, and it's a physics constraint. What you're going to do is grab your physics constraint actor, connect here, put it right there on the corner, constraint actor 1 and constraint actor 2. So let's grab another one, place it here. I'm going to put it right there on the corner also. And on this guy we said number 1 was the cube, so let's keep it the same. Number 1 is the cube, number 2 is this pole right here. So now you can see they're highlighted, blue and red. This one, it didn't take. There we go. So blue and red. So if we hit play, it's there. But if we hit it, it stays constrained to that area. So when you're shooting it, you can have a swinging target. You could have a rack plate where they're just staying there and they spin around in a circle. You could do whatever shape you want on there. And it's kind of rigid on that, but I have set it up to where the cable actor itself is just, it's just there for cosmetics. But what would happen normally is they would stay constrained together, and if you didn't put the physics constraint actor on there, it would just fall to the ground and the cable would stay attached to it. But right now, the way it's set up, it's going to pivot there. I mean, what would happen if you moved your physics constraint actors? This guy here is set to be on this corner. What would happen if you put it right there? The cable actor is not being cooperative, so I'm going to get rid of it for now, just for the hell of it. So by putting the constraint actor in that other corner there, as you can see, it's going to pivot. But if I hit it, it's going to react. So wherever you put your physics constraint actor, you're tying this object to the other object. So hit play again. See, it's held up right by the top. What else could you use that for? Well, let's change this to 2. that back on the corner, put that one back on the corner. You could adjust them on the fly like that, but what I've actually done with the constraint actors and the physics actor, the physics constraint actor and the cable actors, is actually set up a rope bridge to where when you're walking on it, it can actually move. You can put these in a blueprint as well. Cable actors just really don't like to cooperate inside of a blueprint, though. Let's actually take this one and scale that to 2 as well. Make it taller. Move it down. Oh, God. I've played around with these before. And I've had a problem with something. I'm like, well, how the hell am I going to solve this? Cinti Studios, the cowboy, the western one. When you walk into the saloon, the doors are closed. They're 2 little small swinging doors. Son of a bitch. Why didn't I think of that before? So here's your example on that. I'm going to go ahead and just delete and delete. And you, I'm going to scale you here. Control C, Control V. So picture these are swinging doors. Of course, right now they're just going to fall because I don't have the physics constraint. But you want to have them swing when you walk through. So let's grab not a physics thruster, physics constraint actor, and attach it to the top and bottom right there. Control C, Control V. On the bottom, select both of them, Control C, Control V, and put that over here. So we'll select this one. 1 door, 2 pole. 1 door, no, damn you. 1 door, 2 pole. Same thing here. 1 door, 2 pole. Last one. 1 door, 2 pole. Play. Okay, so how would you keep them from getting absolutely just crazy and flying all the way around? Move your objects closer together. They will bind against each other and kind of stop the amount of movement. So if there was actually a wall here, Control C, Control V. Do this and turn off physics. Just, show Control C, Control V. So solid walls. I know this is way out of scale, but you can actually set up the constraint on to where they won't go all the way through. It's just a matter of placement of your objects. and how close they are to the individual, like right here. I can grab the pole, move it over a little bit more. See, it's not going to open too far. Just look how you've got them placed. You can see the amount of gap there. Just play around with the amount of gap you've got on them. And now you can have these swinging doors that will swing back and forth by running into them. Why the hell didn't I think about this before? So easy. So let's look at it from the back side here. Alright, so yeah, they're not perfectly centered up. So I'm going to grab post and post. So the door sections are right there, perfectly in between. So they're going to hit the door sill itself. Only allow them to swing open a certain amount. Other things you can do with something like that right there is we've showed all this stuff where you step on this and it just does that. You can do something to the nature of whenever you step on this, it makes a static mesh disappear. And if you're standing on this platform and the support static mesh that's holding this from falling down goes away, it just drops out from underneath you and you fall into a spike pit. It's just a matter of taking all these little things like this and making them functional. So you make it swing back and forth. I will have to think about how I can get it to forced reset to its original closed position to have kind of a springy effect. But then after a certain amount of time, they reset back to their current value. I would probably have to build it into a blueprint. So on begin play, it gets their location and rotation into a transform. And whenever I walk through, and whenever I end overlap from the section, once I walk through and then get clear from it, event on end overlap, and cast to character, then set each individual door back to their original location and rotation. So that should work, yeah. I'm not going to do it in this project right now. We're already at 2.5 hours of an impromptu video. And I'm a fat kid, I need to eat something. Plus I need to take care of oh no, we're dead. Okay, we're alive. Oh no, we're dead. Oh no, now we're dead again. Shit. Could add more mass to that so it doesn't go flying all over the place. But like I said, what I've done is use the physics constraint on the physics constraint actor onto those targets and lock them to the ground. And when you shoot them, they'll bounce over and come back up again. Or you can actually create your own custom targets, which I've done as well. Had them hanging from something. You shoot them, they flop all around, that kind of stuff. Alright guys and gals, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a lot longer than my normal streams, and was just totally having fun with some of these gadgets and toys. Quick recap of everything in here, then we're going to get out of here. We got the traffic light that cycles between red, yellow, and green, that we can actually set our own custom with the exposed values on it. We've got our security light that we can trigger by stepping on, that has the ability to auto shut off after we leave and a short timer. Booby trap, RPG launcher, fires a rocket up in the air, that will explode one way or the other. We've got a launcher. We've got an exploding car that we can shoot and then blow it up, and then we've got a respawn system. We got a booby trap landmine that trigger it blows up. With the launch pads, they have exposed values. You can set the amount that it's going to throw you. An exploding barrel that will kill you. We got a ceiling fan that has random variable speed system that whenever we hit begin play, it will automatically just pick its own random speed. So you saw the speed that it was at there now. Let's play a couple times. It's slower there. It's really slow this time. Rocket just fires automatically, but we also did a desk lamp, but I deleted it from the project. I didn't like the way it looked. And we got swinging doors that we can actually walk through. So we got our saloon doors. I said a lot of these things, like these have, you click on this one, you can see that the spring force is 1500. This one is set at 750. The traffic light system, you can actually set the amount of time for your red, yellow, and green stages. The security lights, you can set how much time it takes for them to shut off. We didn't set up a fixed variable for this. We set up a random variable for that. We got the explosion that kills us here. The damage we could actually set if we wanted to, so that we could adjust it at random. But yeah, that's everything. Hope you guys enjoyed some of this stuff. And if you want to, use this as a reference, go back, slow it, freeze frame, reload it, whatever. C4. We overlap our box collision. Whoever steps on it. So we used a cast to character node instead of casting to the individual player character. So anything AI or player wise that steps on that will trigger that explosion. We're getting the location of our C4 charge. We're playing a sound at that location of our explosion cue, sound cue, with its own sound attenuations. We're playing a particle effect of the explosion, which the City Studios explosion particle effect, which is broken inside of the Polygon Battle Royale. I showed how to fix the particle effect so it works correctly. We're going to apply damage of 250. If you want that to be an exposed variable, since this is the C4 charge, I can create a variable. We'll call it damage amount. Make that into a float. Compile. We'll set that to 200 as a norm. I'm going to plug this over here. Get damage amount, plug that into here, and I'm going to make sure I click right there so it's exposed. Hit compile and save. Now when we look at our C4 charge on the map, we can set the damage amount. We can set it to where it's only 100. We can set it to 1,000. We can set it to 1,000,000,000, whatever. Our character only has 100 health, so everything kills us. Alright. Done. Thanks for watching. See you guys around. Let me know on Discord if you want to see something like this, or if you want to see a little bit more involved versions of these. But yeah, feel free to go back to the very beginning. After a short amount of time, YouTube's going to automatically process this and put it back up, and you'll be able to come back anytime and watch this video. So you can scroll through, and I show how to build all the stuff that's in here. And yeah, enjoy. Let me know on Discord if you want to see something different, and we'll see you around.